Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Talkin Kop. I am here with Gav and Kev. We are here to preview the Manchester United game this weekend. It's at Anfield, and it's after 2 weeks of international football, which around here doesn't mean too much. Kev and I were talking last night. We chit-chatted for quite a while about the international break. Did you have any thoughts about the international break? Did you watch any football whatsoever? Have you heard anything? Just general thoughts overall.
I watched about 65 minutes of Ireland's second game, and it just genuinely solidified my view that you shouldn't watch Ireland games. It was. I was watching them playing football, and I was like, why are we taking 4 and 5 touches every time, and when we could just do it in one, max 2? And like, Ireland won the game, but only because the other team had a fella sent off for something completely stupid. Because other than that, they were doing nothing. I didn't watch any other international football. The only one I was tempted to watch was, I think Canada might have played Australia.
The USA played Australia.
Did Canada play them as well, or did they play Jamaica or fucking? There was definitely a game Canada were
But
playing.
there was
I was going to watch it on TSN.
Like a 30 minute or 45 minutes down, 45 minutes to go.
Yes, I was going to watch. I was genuinely. I didn't care who was on. I was going to just to brighten me international breakup. I was going to watch a game on TSN, but then I was too tired and I didn't. So no, more or less the answer is no. I didn't watch. I'm not even counting that game as football. So no, I watched no international football over the break.
Okay, well, I won't quiz you on that, but to summarize, there were a few players that did really well for Liverpool. I think Cody Gakpo did particularly well. Connor Bradley, McAllister scored a few goals. Virgil looked good. Then we had a few players that we talked about last night, like Isak, who has not really found his scoring boots. Did you hear anything about those players, or do you have any sort of expectations about?
I seen a massive overreaction to Alexander Isak, who breaks through for Sweden, squares the ball. I think that might be the Bergvall who plays for Spurs, and your man completely misses the ball, and it's all Isak's fault. I did see that, and Isak is. I did see one person tweet and saying Isak has let his country down by going on strike to get a move out of Newcastle. It was from a Newcastle journalist, I think, but I seen that, which was madness. Dominic Szoboszlai got a big equaliser for Hungary away in Portugal. I know Gakpo got a couple. Virgil scored. Frimpong didn't get much game to him, I don't think. Kerkez would have played. Bradley, of course, got a night off against Germany because he just can't play a game of football without being booked. And if you're doing anything this Sunday, put money on Conor Bradley to be booked, because it's genuinely the only guarantee of what might happen on Sunday. But no, overall, like I've seen today, Gravenberch has come back completely fit. Konate is going to train and did train, so he looks like he's okay. Much to the annoyance of some Liverpool fans, which is more madness. Salah, of course, qualifies for the World Cup and gets a break as well. So yeah, overall, I think if we wanted it to be a break from Liverpool and people just clear their heads, really good. And overall, I think everyone had a decent enough international break, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it was good to hear from Slot a little bit, just clarifying some of those injury concerns. He did make sure that everyone was aware that Alisson would continue to be out. We all knew that. But Kev, what was your response to hearing that Gravenberch was okay and that Konate was also going to train today? Was that encouraging for you, or are you still kind of looking toward Gomez for this weekend?
Yeah, I would be looking at Gomez anyway for this weekend, but that's for a different reason. Gravenberch being fit, great, happy days. Konate being fit or not fit doesn't really matter at the minute, because on form you're not picking him. Not for what we want to do. He looks like the football is a grenade at his feet. He doesn't know what to do with it, and he just goes into himself when he makes a mistake. I've never seen him in a slump like this. I think he'll play him, but I wouldn't. I prefer to play Gomez just purely because of his ability to bring the ball out from the back and his passing ability to get the ball, to get us out of this passing around the back four to draw sides onto us. It's the last thing you need, especially when you got players who are still trying to figure out where they should be on the pitch. But that's probably not going to happen. But the fact that Gravenberch is available, I watched the inside training today, and almost everyone you wanted to see was there. And so, yeah, we'll see how it goes. But good. We'll see. Ibu, hopefully, the fact that he's had 2 weeks virtually of no football, a week with his mates in France, come back, assessed by the club, and started training today. That would be my only concern. If today was his first training session, and he hasn't really done a lick in 2 weeks. So we'll see. Even if he does start, it's 7 games in 21 days. So I think there's minutes for everyone, including at centre back, because you can't flog those two all the time. You have to break that up. Whether he does that this Sunday, we'll see.
Yeah, Gav, did you catch any of Slot's press conference?
No, I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
I didn't. I've been so fucking busy. I haven't caught anything. So that
Okay, well, I'm
press
glad I
conference
asked
was this
ahead of
morning,
time.
wasn't it?
It was.
Yeah. So I was literally up at 7 this morning, and I've stopped work at about 9:30 to get a cup of tea and start this. So that's how busy I've been. So no, I didn't see the press conference.
Okay, well, quick summary for you.
Lovely.
He obviously went through the injuries. There was nothing new. And then he really kind of talked about his message to the players and some of the things that he reviewed over the course of the last 2 weeks, and was very, very honest about things not being good enough. He specifically called out set pieces as an area of concern. He called out crosses as an area of concern. He called out defending from the front as an area of concern. And then he started talking about the players and their fitness. And he talked specifically about Isak and McAllister, most of all. Talked about how, they really needed the 5 to 6 weeks of preseason. But he made a point that this was the end of that they were at a point where he considered them full fitness and that he was going to be judging them based on that. So there's a lot of people that have been saying, he's kind of throwing a gauntlet down to Isak, saying, it's time to perform. But there were no punches pulled there, I think, from Slot. I think that he was very, very blunt about that. So what's your response kind of listening to those points? Do you think that that's what you wanted to hear from Slot? Are you glad that it was a little bit more frank from him rather than a little bit softer on the edges?
To be fair, he's always quite frank in what he says, and when we finished off the last lot of games and he was talking and people were saying, oh, he's making excuses and he's this, that and the other, and I kind of thought that was an easy thing to throw at him, because if you watch when Liverpool play well, he'll come out and he'll tell you they played well, but he'll also tell you where they haven't quite done well, and he'll stand with Sky or what's the other crowd? I want to say BT, but I don't think they call it BT anymore. TNT. And he'll talk with them about breakdowns of games and different bits and pieces. So he's always been like that. I think he's just being fair to the players. I think people will say, is he throwing down a gauntlet? But he's probably turned around and went, look, we've had these players, we've put them in, we've given them time, we've had to because we're in the flow of a season. But they've probably needed X amount, and we consider now that that's what they've got. So without people saying, oh, he's throwing down a gauntlet, he's probably turning around and protecting them a little bit by saying, yeah, McAllister's probably getting a bit of stick. I don't know why the stick is coming for Isak. I think he's played even less than McAllister. But he's basically turned around and went, yeah, you can point out the negative bits on them in the last while, but we consider that to be their pre-season, and now we'll go again and we'll see where they are. And yeah, it's probably a little bit of, we're over that now and we'll be judged now. And I think that's absolutely fair because, as Liverpool fans and probably other fans of other clubs are looking and saying to themselves, if they're being honest, and not only Liverpool, but other clubs. If you look at, I see there's a Chelsea fan in there as well. Chelsea turn over a lot of players. So Chelsea wouldn't look, for me, to be running amok or running really, really well this early in the season. I don't think Arsenal are running really, really well. City definitely aren't. And we aren't. So you can't kind of ask for time for Liverpool and then go, well, Arsenal are brutal, because Arsenal probably aren't running at optimum speed either. So with them points he's making, I'm absolutely fine with them. He he's he's protecting the players a little bit, but he's saying, I think he's trying to draw a line under it now and say, right, that's the first part of the season. We're healthy enough where we are. Most of the squad are fit. And by fit, I mean ready, absolute match fit. And we go from there. And there's no better game than this. There's just really not.
Yeah, I agree. If you can't get up for Manchester United at home, I don't know what game you can get up for. Kev, I'm assuming that you watched a little bit of the press conference.
Yeah.
Okay, what were your thoughts on when Slot was talking about McAllister and Isak? He mentioned
Sorry,
that,
can I just say one thing?
Sure.
Sorry, because I didn't see this comment. Black Prince says, Gav, to be honest, Slot finds it easy to call out players when they don't play well. When it's obvious that he went wrong with his tactics, he never owns his mistakes, and that's not good. I think he probably did, judging by what you've said there with the press conference. He said this isn't good enough, that's not good enough, that's not good enough. And yeah, he has to mention stuff on the pitch because that's where you're being judged. And he's probably taken some of that responsibility by going, I'm putting us in the positions where we're being open to certain set pieces, certain crosses, certain phases of play. So Black Prince, I see what you're saying when he does call out players, but he calls them out in a positive and negative way. I think he's very balanced in that. He never owns his mistakes, and that's not good. I think he has owned his mistakes, judging by what you've said to me, with regards to what he said at that press conference. Because if he's telling you things aren't good, he's ultimately responsible for that. And if he's telling you it's not good enough, I think that might be owning it.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely touched on some issues that they had with tactics. He mentioned teams setting up differently this year compared to the way that they set up to us last year. He specifically called out long balls being an issue that it was something that we would have to work on and face. So there were some tactical things that he very clearly called out. I mean, he went as far as saying, I can't blame the players for effort, that some of it is tactical. So I think that he is claiming responsibility for that. Kev, going back to that question I was going to ask on Isak and McAllister, one of the things that Slot said is, yes, they're out of form, but we have to play them to get them into form. Are you of that same mindset going into this weekend? Because I think the idea of maybe McAllister back in midfield, we talked last night and we weren't exactly on that same page.
No.
But how are you feeling about Slot talking in those kind of terms?
I think you have to look at it. If you look at any one position in the pitch that you look at, we have actual real strength, is the middle of the park, centre of the pitch. Really do have live options that you can rotate and manage that area, no problem. It's a case of what is he going to do at the back and how is he going to protect the box of the two centre backs and the 2 6s, because we're not really going to play with 2 6s. One of them is going to advance, so it'll be one sitting. And I watched the piece tonight that Josh Williams did, a tactical breakdown, and something that he talked about. We saw it on the pitch a few times this season already. Was Gravenberch dropping in between the two centre backs splitting, and the full backs going forward, allowing the 2 8s to be inverts to occupy whoever's through the middle, and it gives Salah someone to overlap with or underlap with. So I think you might probably see that this Sunday to allow us to match up to what Manchester United are going to do with that 3-4-3, especially with the 3 players they have up front. What we do with McAllister, though, I don't know what we're going to do with him, whether you play him or Jones or him or Szoboszlai. It all depends on what he does at right back. If he doesn't have confidence in the 2 right backs that he has and plays Dominic Szoboszlai as a right back,
Kev is not going to show up to the post-match.
No, but if he does that, then you have to build up a different way. And by doing that, it makes it more difficult. I think it makes it more difficult for us to get balls and players up to support the forward players. Because last season, Virgil was able to pass long to get Salah in. If Salah was high and wide. Trent was able to do the opposite from right back to switch it out to Cody Gakpo and get him high and away and get us up the pitch by doing that. This season, we're not doing that. We're so pedestrian in how we're building up the play that something has had to give. He's had 2 weeks to stew on how we've played over the last 10 games. And he has to see that this is a problem. Sides are coming on and pressing us a lot more. Manchester United will do this as well. They'll press us into our final third, into our defenders, and then when we get into past halfway, they'll drop off. So hopefully we'll see on Sunday how he's managed to tweak a few things. That's all it's going to be, is tweaking a few things to make it work better. I can't understand the logic of buying Frimpong and Kirkes and then not letting them do what's natural to them, which is overlap and attack and put crosses into the box. It doesn't make any sense, because the one thing that you can look at, Robertson is probably a better option at left back if you want a left back to build up play through the thirds, because he's a better passer of a ball. But if you want more energy and someone to overlap and put crosses into the box, Kirk is your man. So hopefully he'll use the template for the first 10 games of what we've seen and look to change and adapt it. Because Gav's right, we do really have virtually a fully fit squad now. You know, whereas early in the season, Frimpong was out injured, Bradley was out injured, they were coming back, McAllister wasn't right, we still didn't get Isak in, and when we did get him in, he wasn't ready, he wasn't right. So you had to manage all of those little fires that were going on within the squad. Now everyone is fit and available. We should start to see what the plan really is going to be for the next phase of the league. And that has to be the priority. The league has to be the priority. It was 7 games, 21 days, 4 league games. The 4 league games have to be the priority, starting with this Sunday.
Yeah, so, Gav, one of the things that Slot mentioned again in the press conference was, when you rotate and you win, you look like a genius. Mm-hmm. But when you rotate and you lose, you have to take that on the chin. Mm-hmm. Kev and I talked at length last night about kind of wanting to find an established 11 just to let the team gel a bit. Are you on that page as well? Do you think that Slot really needs to nail down, particularly like a back four, for example, just to gain some familiarity with those players so that they know, where they're going to be for the next pass and things like that?
Yeah, look, there's an argument that you pick your best 11 and you say to yourself, right, over these next 7 games, I think it's 7 games till the next international, it is, because we've done a show on it called the next 7. But there's an argument there where you say to yourself, you pick this 11 and you try to stick to that as much as you can between now and City at home on the 9th of November, I think it is. But you see, I think we can get bogged down in the whole settled 11 thing, because the whole argument around this squad now is that we have X amount of players for each position and the quality is there, the drop off. And we've spoken about it for years, such and such is a great player, but if you bring on, such and such is a drop in the level, like this, you can kind of have an argument to say, is he as good as him at this and is he as good as him at that? But there's an argument, again, for all of them. You could say, oh, well, he deserves to be in the team or he deserves to be in the team. My biggest thing on this is, and it has been since the start of the season, is Liverpool need to pick a style of play and they need to stick to it. And for me, they haven't. They've changed it too much. And I know I mentioned Arne Slot and Brendan Rodgers in the same sentence a couple of weeks ago, but what I was trying to say was, that's more dangerous than rotating for me. It's more dangerous because if people will say, oh, well, if you go out and you do the same thing every week, people think you're predictable. No, not really. I've watched Liverpool teams, I've watched Manchester United teams, I've watched Chelsea teams, and I mentioned them because there's a Chelsea fan in there, so we might as well, who come out and went, this is the way we play, we're fucking brilliant at it, and now you can try to stop us. And not a lot of teams could, right? And it was only later in Klopp's reign where you go, oh, we can beat you this way, you can beat you that way, we can go sit deep, you can play on the break, you can fucking make it a game of tennis, whatever you want to call it. But right now, this Liverpool team I think they need to be whoever you want to play, but you need to go, that's the way we play. And whoever goes in has to play like that. The biggest thing in this team is Florian Wirtz. Now, you're either going to stick with your plan from the start of the season or from, the transfer window, where you wanted Florian Wirtz to play as a 10 for Liverpool, behind the striker, with Salah and Gakpo either side of him. He has to do it. He has to do it. Because he's a fantastic footballer. But in order to do that, and I'm like a broken record now, you need to be brave in playing Florian Wirtz in the way you get them the ball, and you need to be literally very, very cute in how you do it. Because when Florian Wirtz is in the team, no matter what system you play, Liverpool become predictable because they just try to get everything to him. And teams just go, yeah, we'll just pick that up and go from there. Where if you can play a pass and get it to Wirtz or ignore him for 5 minutes and then get him on the ball, that's where it has to be. It's not about settled 11 for me. It's about we're going out and we're playing a 4-2-3-1, right? Or a 4-3-3. Pick whatever one you want. I don't really care. And you play. And that's how you play. And everyone knows how they play. But for me, since the start of this season, it's been 4-2-3-1. It's been Florian Wirtz has played in the 10. Florian Wirtz hasn't played. Florian Wirtz has played in the left. We've gone back to 4-3-3 at times. When we've gone back to 4-3-3, we put midfielders at right back. Sometimes we needed to because of injuries. But then when we didn't, we still went and done that. Very disjointed. Very, very disjointed for me. So we'll pick teams later. But genuinely, I could name you 2 completely different teams for Sunday. But if you tell me we're going to play that system, and this is what we're going to do to try playing this system, I'm absolutely fine with it. Because it's a process at the end of the day. Like, what do we do? Do we play 4-2-3-1, keep going and going and going, right? And then go, oh, that doesn't work, go back and do 4-3-3 and keep going. We're going to get nowhere. Don't get me wrong. In game, sometimes you can say, lads, we need to stick the 4. We need to just revert to 4-3-3 here because we've done our job. We've done our job. We've been brave. We put ourselves ahead in the game. Right, we're probably a little bit leggy, wherever it might be, and we're going to switch slightly. We're going to switch slightly, slight tactical change. I'm okay with. But when you're coming out 1 week 4-3-3 and the next week 4-2-3-1, years ago people will go, oh, isn't he flexible? What he's doing? It's not flexibility anymore. It's just not with the quality of player you have. The quality of player we have, we should be well able to go out and pick a team and a system and go, we are better than you. That's it.
Kev, there was a comment a little while back that said, our players tend to overthink things because they're uncertain. Do you think that a settled style of play would help that? And do you agree with Gav that you think that that's the most important thing to establish right now?
Over time, it will, yeah, 100%. You expect over this course of games, probably up till Christmas, you expect to see better patterns of play. It's no surprise when you look at the counter-attack for Galatasaray that led to their penalty. We talked about it on the review show that we did. The indecision on the press is what led to the goal. And it's small, tiny mistakes that are the difference between us having a shit international, going in with a shit international break and bouncing into it. And, Dominic Szoboszlai against Bournemouth, a stupid pass. Let Bournemouth in when it should have been 3-0, got it back to 2-1 off the back of an idiotic pass. Time and place. You got to pick not settled, but a settled way of playing. How do you want to get from A to B to C to D? How do you want to build up from the back? Do you want to be more direct? Do you want to be more patient? And then get the buy. You have to get the buy-in from the players, and then you go on from there. The qualities are undoubtedly there. I think at the minute you have to look at the spine of the side. If you're going to be starting with Isak up front, Florian Wirtz in a 10, Gravenberch in a 6, Virgil in a 4, and then you build out from there. And going on form alone, you'd have to look at Salah's output this season and say, would it be, instead of playing Frimpong and you want to get, on the right wing, if you wanted to get Szoboszlai into a starting 11, would you be better off putting Szoboszlai playing on the right wing? On form, you'd say, yeah, you would. Because Salah's shots per 90 this season is the worst he's ever had in all of his time at Liverpool. He's not getting on the ball anywhere near enough. And when he is getting on the ball, he's nowhere near as threatening as he normally is. He's down to something like 1.4 shots per 90, whereas normally he's double that at this point of the season. That's a big problem when he was the main guy who was going to get you out of jail. When we were winning games by the odd goal last season, it was almost always because of him. And if he's not going to be doing it, who's picking up that slack? It has to be someone. It has to be Isak. It has to be Ekitike. It has to be Cody Gakpo, and it has to be Florian Wirtz. So the pressure is on them as well. If you can get through the next seven games, next 4 league games, still within a point or two of Arsenal at the top, be absolutely fucking delighted. You know, that's where you need to be, because we've had a tough run of games up until now. United at home is always a massive game. Anything can fucking happen in this one. But after that, there is a bit of a drop off until we play City in the type of games that we're playing in the league. So how we settle down into it. If he's going to play like 4-2-1-3, then play that way. Find a way to get the best out of the players you brought in, to give them a chance to be able to show us what they can do. Because at the minute, some of them are hampered, and they're hampered by how he's asking them to play. And I suppose the only way, when Florian Wirtz has played in the 10 so far this season, we've won every game. So when he's missing, when he's playing out on the wing, everything else is disjointed around him, because we're second guessing ourselves. We're second guessing our passing, second guessing the pressing. You know, they brought him in to play a certain way, and they'll have set up during pre-season tactically to try to organise the presses around it. And when he started fiddling with that, it throws everything out of whack. And then everyone's trying to do something on the fly, and then hoping for a bit of a wonder goal or a bit of individual brilliance to settle everything down. And it's just not really clicking at the minute. You're getting 15, 20-minute spells in games where we look absolutely brilliant. And then someone will do something stupid, and the pressure comes, because it's a mentality thing as well. That's when the second guessing starts coming in.
Yeah, Slot actually called out those moments of brilliance. He was talking about how last year, so often, specifically in the first half of games, that he came to expect moments of brilliance from Mo Salah. And then he said in the second half of games, he came to expect maybe set piece goals and things like that from us, which also we're not getting. You talk about potentially benching Mo Salah, which, is almost sacrilege. But it is sort of an elephant in the room. The one thing I would say is that Mo Salah does love a goal against Manchester United. Gav, are you on the same page there with benching Mo Salah, or do you have any sort of wild shouts? And just starting to think a little bit about the actual opponent that we're facing, which is Manchester United, because we haven't really talked about them yet.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I said this after the last game we played a couple of weeks back, and Salah's held to a massively high standard, and the reason being is because the standard he set for himself over the last 7 or 8 years, at Liverpool, and has his form been good? No. Has Gakpo's? No. McAllister? No. Any of the 4 fullbacks really? No. There's not many there. You've a centre half there.
Szoboszlai and Virgil maybe would be your
Virgil,
2.
yeah. Our keeper was good, and now he's injured. Ekitike, yeah. So it's to me it's a squad at the minute that's finding its way. It just and don't get me wrong, I'm not gonna sit here and go Salah's being great and the rest are being shit, and it's not that at all. But I think the way we play is just the way we're trying to play, and again changing things at the drop of a hat. It's just not suiting us, and it's not suiting loads of players. I look at the amount of times Salah is overlooked for the ball. I'm going to go and give it to him, and now we'll play it somewhere else, and then he kind of drifts out of games, and then doesn't get back into them. But it's a bit like Gakpo. If you look at Gakpo on the other side, Gakpo has a new forward inside him. He's a new fullback a lot of the time behind him. And then he has McAllister, who's there, who usually pulls over to that side, who's not in great form. And I'm not saying Cody Gakpo's been amazing, but when I look at the players around him, I'm kind of saying, look, nothing's really happening there. And it's a bit the same on the other side. I think, the intensity of Liverpool has dropped for me. And I think Salah thrives on that. The intensity when it's like, we've won it back, pop it to him, right? And he might do nothing with it. He might just come inside and play it off. But then he's moving, then he's looking. And it feels a bit like everyone's kind of standing around looking, going, am I in the right position here? Am I in the right spot here for what we're trying to do? And like Kev says, they are second guessing. I think that's what it is. I wouldn't be dropping Salah, not a chance. And that's just my honest opinion. What I would say is, though, is if Liverpool come out on Sunday and have a blinding game where they're flying around and they're moving it quick and they're getting that ball into Wirtz, or they're getting it to Salah, or they're getting whoever, and they're threatening, and Salah still seems like he's on the periphery, you would say, Liverpool were really good there today. and they'd loads of movement and they'd loads of variety in their play and creativity, and Salah just didn't look like he was part of it. Then you could have an argument, I think. Then you could have a discussion. But right now, I think Salah's being pinpointed because of he's Mo Salah. But he can't do it all on his own. And the changes around him and the way we're playing at the moment, I genuinely think if Liverpool click and start playing it, I think Salah, you'd be going, oh, isn't he great and he great? But look at Salah. And I wouldn't be dropping him. But we need, as much as we need to get the best out of Wirtz, and we need to get the best out of our strikers, and you need to get the best out of A, B, C, D, and E, you need to give Mo Salah the opportunity and the runners off him and everything else to be Mo Salah. He can't do it all on his own. He just can't. There's only probably one player on the planet that's kind of ever done that, and that's Lionel Messi. You can just pick a ball up and go, I'm winning this game. That's the end of it. So yeah, no, I think I don't think his form's been great, but I think if you went through the whole squad, I don't think you can. There's probably 4 or 5 where you go. They've had a really good start to the season, and the rest of them, they're all really good footballers. It's just they just need to find their way, and that's why I keep going to. There's the system, there's the team, and this is what we're going to do. And I'm hoping from the comments you've read out from Slot that Slot has looked at it and went, right. Not even I don't like this back to basics bullshit. I don't like it, because there's nothing basic about how Liverpool try to play football. But get back to what you know. Get back to that high intensity. And or even go back to what he wanted at the very start of last season, keeping the ball, protecting the ball. Let other teams run around, and then pick your spots, because this team is made to keep the fucking football. And then when you see a chance and you see an opening, they're absolutely made for that. With the wide men they have, with the strikers they have, with the players that can get in those little pockets, they're made for it. But they need to go back to that, and they need to get back to it quick.
Yeah, well, I mean, you look back at some of the games that we have clicked and we have gotten back to it, per se. I mean, obviously, we have this recency bias where everyone's a little bit doom and gloom. I don't think I've ever heard so many sort of pre-match, whether it's podcasts or anything, where it's been so down going into a Manchester United game. But, if I look back to our last home game, which was Everton, which seems like forever ago, that was in the league. We also had the home game against Madrid, and we had that home game against Southampton. But in terms of the league, we did play quite well. So, Kev, do you think that being back at Anfield can create sort of that cushion and environment for these players to succeed? And looking at Manchester United, I mean, they have no wins in their last 9 Premier League matches at Anfield. Are we overdoing it a little bit in how fearful we all are about this fixture, or are we just nervous because we've had these 3 losses?
No, I'm not fearful about Manchester United. It's good to get back to Anfield. 3 games that we've, before the international break, were all away. Never easy at the best of times. So getting a home game, the place should be on fire. 4:30 kickoff on a Sunday. It should be absolute. The atmosphere should be brilliant, but the atmosphere in the ground will feed off the players. Hopefully, you get a good lively start, and you expect it. You expect blood and thunder and an aggressive first 15-20 minutes. After that, you hope we settle into the game and play the game, not playing. It's Manchester United. Oh shit! My God! It's Rooney, Berbatov, Tevez. It's not that. It's like they really are fucking poor. And Amarim won't change as long as he's got a hole in his backside. He won't change. He'll play 3-4-3. He'll play Luke Shaw as the left centre back. Up front, Cunha and Buemo.
I don't think he's fit to start.
I think it'll be him. It'll be him or Ahmad. Either one are going to be problems. I think Ahmad would be interesting actually, but if he plays Buemo on the right, I think he'll still risk Cunha on the left because they don't have Europe, so it's a game a week for them.
That's true.
And Sesko up front. If he plays Ahmad as a right wing back and Dalot probably on the left, that'll be really interesting to see how they do it because I think Ahmad is a really good player and he'll lots of pace and he might ask a question of Kerkez going the other way with Mbeumo on that side, trying to create 2v1s and overlaps and what have you. But Cunha, both feet, likes to tuck inside. Probably look to feed off Sesko, whoever plays centre back is going to have to be dominant in the air, because the one thing United probably will look at what Chelsea did, and they'll go direct. They need to go direct. If they try to play out from the back, then that's brilliant for us. But I think this game's tailor-made for Florian Wirtz. The space, whoever they play as a two in midfield, whether it's Ugarte and Bruno, whether it's Bruno and Casemiro, it'll more than likely be Ugarte and Bruno Fernandes. Florian Wirtz sit on him and pull him all over the place and run the legs off him. There was a quote there about Declan Rice in the Arsenal game. So, have a look at Declan Rice at the end of that Arsenal game, and he was blowing like you'd ran a marathon trying to chase Florian Wirtz around the ground, and he just couldn't get anywhere near him. So you expect Florian Wirtz to have this. The way Amorim sets up is tailor-made for Florian Wirtz in the pockets, in the 10, in the half space, looking for Isak to make runs in between whichever pair of centre-backs, whether he wants to go on Yoro's side or whether he wants to go on Luke Shaw's side. And please God, it's Luke Shaw's side. And look to try to get crosses in from Kerkez and Cody Gakpo from the left into him, into Isak, off of Luke Shaw. That's one or two ways we can get at them. They're really underperforming their XG, United. They've scored 9 in the league from an XG of 14. So that's the only thing you'd look at, is they're creating chances. They're not finishing their chances that they're creating. We've still scored plenty. Conceded stupid goals, 4 from set pieces. I think Slot was saying, was it 4 from set pieces, 3 from counter-attack, or 3 from open play, and the rest from counter-attacks. Mm-hmm. United will more than likely look to try to play us on the break. And Mbeumo is really quick. He's good. Cunha is a dangerous player. Sesko will look to try to play those two in. So they'll look to try and play direct, I think, and play on the counter. We'll just have to be very aware of that. And aware of the spaces that Cunha picks up. If he tries to drag inside, who picks him up? Does he pin one of our midfielders back to mark him? Or does whoever plays right back tuck in to mark him if he tucks inside? It's... No matter what they throw at us, though, they're still rubbish. We really should be beating them. And if we played them and not Manchester United, it's the biggest game in the Premier League, it's one of the biggest games in world football, we'll have it comfortable enough after them.
I mean, I'd like to. That's what I hope for. It would be great to. I don't think we've had a comfortable afternoon this season with Liverpool. I'm looking at their results right now, and their most recent result was a win against Sunderland. But going back, they lost 3-1 to Brentford. They won against Chelsea, but that was the Sanchez kind of crazy red card. They lost 3-0 to Manchester United. They had the Grimsby fiasco as well, kind of going back a little bit further. So, the results don't paint a picture of a really dominant side. We do know, Gav, though, that they tend to raise their level exponentially when they play us. Are you expecting a different Manchester United team going into this game? Do you think that Amorim can get them playing in a way that they will be dangerous? And what do you think their biggest threats are going forward that we need to be aware of?
I think it's different for Manchester United because I think it's the first time in quite a while where they're coming to Anfield and they're not looking and going, these are way better than us. What do we do to counteract it? I think they're coming to Anfield this Sunday and they're probably saying to themselves, these have shown frailties. We might have a chance. And I think there's a different outset there for Manchester United because look, they've come to Anfield over the last 5, 6, 7 years, and they've got a couple of draws. And other times they've been absolutely beaten out the gate. 7-0 being one of them. There's a 4-0 in there as well. And you don't expect 7. I was in the ground; it was fantastic. But you don't expect 7. And
I'll take it.
And to be honest with you, you don't expect 4. Even no matter how bad the other side is, because if you flip it, I've watched some fairly average Liverpool teams go to Old Trafford and get beaten, but not very much by 4. You'd usually take a red card or something like that, and I've seen them go and win games there where you go, fucking hell, and that was brilliant. It's a United team that will come and say to themselves, they're not in great form. I don't think the system suits them. You know, that system cries out for a back four, and it cries out for a Cunha off a striker with an Ahmed on one side and somebody else on the other side, and you know, two midfielders. But they don't really go with that. But they will come with a different outlook, definitely. And I hope they do, because I hope Liverpool turn up and go, let them come with that outlook, because we're ready now. And that's all we were looking for. We're looking for improvement on what we've been doing. The biggest thing, their biggest threats, I watched them against Man City, and I don't know why Sesko was on the pitch, because he wasn't dominant in the air, and he didn't win headers, and he didn't link play, and he done fuck all. Against a City defence that, if I'm 6'5" or 6'4", whatever height he is, and I'd fancy myself to at least win some headers and get the ball to my players and then see where we can go. Cunha's a really good player. Mount has played quite well for them this season. Ahmed is a talent, there's no doubt about that. But defensively for United, you know, you look at Euro, he's still very young. I think it's actually unfair on Euro what they're doing at times with him. De Ligt hasn't had the worst season in the world, I don't think. Shaw being there, Shaw's there because Shaw is quite good positionally, and he has that bit of steel. But if you move him around, I think you could be in trouble. What they're going to do is, if they do play Cunha, they're going to play Cunha off the left, and then they're going to look to pull him up beside Sesko as much as they can. They'll have what's the left back's name?
Drogu.
Yeah,
Dorgu. But I think they'll play Dalot. I think Dalot will probably play left.
Well, maybe, but what they'll look to do is they'll look for Dalot. If Cunha goes and tries to join Sesko, what they'll do is they'll move their left wing back up, and they'll try squeeze that part of the pitch to allow Cunha to be in those positions. But if Liverpool want to play, let Cunha chase back all day. That's what you want to be doing. But look, you know, we haven't been great, but either have they. You know, it's Anfield, it's 4:30. The key for me is this: I hope we play Florian Wirtz, and whoever's behind them have to work as a two. Simple as that. I don't want to see 25 yards between them where, I'm going to go as well just behind Wirtz, and you kind of sit back there and we leave big gaps, because that's where Fernandes will find the gap, because he's a good player. And if you leave gaps, these players will find them. That's where your Cunha will find space. That's where your Fernandes will find space. That's where Mount will look to find space. And then you look for your runners in the likes of Ahmed and Sesko or whatever. So those two have to play as a two. But I said it, and I have to stick with it. Florian Wirtz plays, I want them up as high as I possibly can up against Ekitike, who I'd start, to be honest. I want them up there. I don't want to see Ekitike standing up there going, well, Gakpo and Salah are looking after those two centre or those two wing backs, and I'm standing here with three lads around me. No matter how poor they are, just fucking three of them. So we need Wirtz to be up close to them and picking, going left or going right, either side of them. That's what I would do. But put the team on the pitch and let them play, and stick with it, and I think we'd be absolutely fine.
Yeah, I was thinking to last year, the Anfield game against Manchester United, and it was kind of the Trent show.
Yes.
That was the poor performance from Trent. And he's the one player that we know is not going to be in our starting 11. Kev, do you want to walk me through what you would do as your starting 11, knowing that we don't have Trent, we don't have that backstory this time around?
Yeah, look, I give you 11 that I think Slot will go with. Mohamed Ashraf in goal. I think he'll go with Bradley, Konate, Virgil, and Kirkes. I think he'll go with Gravenberch, Szoboszlai as your two holding players. Wirtz in the 10, Gakpo on the left, Isak up front, Salah on the right. The only thing I would change in that is I'd play Gomez instead of Konate, and I'd play Frimpong instead of Bradley. The rest of it I'd leave it alone.
Gav, do you agree? What would you tweak?
I'd have Mohamed Ashraf in goal, obviously. I would definitely go Kirkes at left back, because if there's one thing I'm a little bit worried over Robertson with is raw pace.
He also played a lot over the international break.
and just running off the back of him. And Ahmed will try to do that. Like he'll be, Ahmed and Buemo, that kind of thing down the right hand side will be their main outlet for me. Especially if they're going to play on the counter attack. I play Kerkez. I'd actually play Frimpong. I think I will play Frimpong. I just think he links better with Salah. Just from the bits I've seen, and I think his runs free up Salah a little bit more. I find Bradley coming inside a little bit, and I'm like, just get outside him and active. Just keep someone active over there, so Salah doesn't have two lads standing up to him. I probably would go with Frimpong. I'd stick with Konate, and I'd stick with Van Dijk, obviously. Gravenberch and Szoboszlai in the middle of midfield. To start, with Wirtz ahead of them, Gakpo on the left, Salah on the right, and Ekitike up front. That's what I'd go with. And you can, if you want to do Isak instead of them, fine. That's the whole reason why Liverpool have this squad, so you can argue over it without. It's not a quality thing. It's just a personal preference, really.
I mean, Kev and I definitely argued over that last night. I mean, we talked a lot about whether or not Isak and Salah could coexist in a team. Just given the fact that neither of them really track back, and you're giving liberties. I think you can give liberties to one player, but I don't know if you can do it to two. So I think maybe with Slot kind of calling out Isak in that press conference where he said, you're at full fitness now. Maybe that's the call out to be like, okay, well, we can't let you be a passenger in the same way that Salah can be. Why don't you give me your goal scorers, Kev, and what you think the score will be?
I think it'd be 3-1. I think Isak gets one. I think Wirtz gets one. And I think Virgil gets one.
Okay. Gav?
I was going to go 3-1, but I can't do the same. Can I really? I love a 3-1, to be fair. 3-0.
Love a clean sheet.
I'm going to go the clean sheet. Fuck it. I was going to go 4-1, and then I was going to go 2-1, and then I was like, I don't want a 2-1. No, thanks. So I'm going what I really hope happens. 3-0. Goal scorers. Ekitike. Gakpo. And I hope Chiesa on the bench comes on and scores. There, I've said it.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
He looked lively, didn't he? If you watch the inside training stuff, he looked really lively as well. Some of his one-on-one finishing.
He's always lively. Like, he's fit now.
Yeah.
All right. I think.
Well, what do you go with? What do you go with?
Yeah, unfortunately I think I'm going to go with the score that Gav called out that he said he didn't want it to be, which was 2-1. So it's still a win for us. But I still think there's holes in our defense. I still think it's going to be a bit of a slog. If we can get to that free scoring version of Liverpool that we saw sort of for brief moments in that Atletico Madrid game, I'd love that. But there were some kind of clues in what Slot was talking about today where it seemed like he was trying, I don't know, it was just hinting at a little bit more defensive solidity. And I think that if that's what he's focusing on with his team in training this week, it might mean less goals up front. 2-1. I'm going to say I would love Wirtz and Isak to just open their accounts kind of formally in this match. I think that'd be fantastic. And I think for them, probably a Fernandes goal, because I think that that's their biggest threat. And I think that, he's one of those kind of smarmy little players that just pops up when you least want him to pop up. But yeah, I think that's about it for that. I mean, talking a little bit about the games going forward this weekend, is there anything that you kind of saw looking forward? Kev and I were talking about how there wasn't really any standout matches this weekend. I think there's a Dortmund Bayern match that sort of is the big derby that is comparable to ours, but is there anything that kind of stands out? I think Fulham is playing Arsenal, for example.
Is Jack Grealish allowed to play against Man City? Well,
no, I don't think so.
I was going to watch that. I was actually going to watch that. We're doing the final 20 tomorrow, the 3:00 games.
Yep, Matt's back, right?
Matt is back, yeah. So we'd be looking at Brighton, Newcastle,
farming or something.
Burnley, Leeds, Crystal Palace, Bournemouth, Man City, Everton, Sunderland, Wolves. Sunderland are fucking mad to watch. Like
you never know what you're
in
gonna
fairness
get.
to them, I was a bit annoyed at them that they went to Old Trafford and just kind of lay down in front of United, because I thought with the players they have, and especially that they get a draw at home to Villa and they're down to 10 men and they just decide fuck this and just go at Villa, and they were great to watch. And I thought, geez, they might be good to watch going to Old Trafford, but they get beaten 2-0 and they're beaten, well beaten. Spurs Villa on Sunday will be good as well. That 2:00. Burnley Leeds. There's loads of different caveats to
Fulham
stuff
Arsenal
going.
Fulham v Arsenal will be a good game.
Arsenal
Fulham
win
at
There's a
that.
lot
home.
of people just giving Arsenal the points
Oh, I
there,
think
but
Arsenal
Yeah.
win that. Yeah, I think Arsenal win
mean,
that handy.
Fulham they're kind of tricky though. Like away, I wouldn't want to be going there this weekend.
I'm
Well,
not too sure.
last season was a draw. The year before it was a draw, and no, December 23, Fulham beat them 2-1. They had a draw at home 24,
Can I ask?
and
Can I ask?
Arsenal beat them 2-1 in the league in April of this year.
Yeah,
It'll be a tight game, especially at Craven Cottage. They're a
yeah.
good side at home. Fulham.
Stephen Kemp says a post in the Liverpool dressing room by one Gary Neville, and I quote: "The front four were useless." That should fire them up. What has what's gone on there? Does anybody know what's
I'm
gone on
in
there?
motion.
I've seen that mentioned twice. Has Gary Neville turned around and said the front four were useless in a game for Liverpool?
Not that I've seen.
Because I don't listen to him. So
No, I haven't seen. I haven't seen anything unless he said something in the overlap or something. I don't know.
Oh,
I
okay.
haven't seen
Maybe so.
anything.
Right. Okay.
I tend not to listen to Gary Neville.
No, it's
if
recommended
I
for
can
your health.
afford to.
He's like a fucking side effect, isn't he? He's like a side effect of something that the American fucking people, you know these American ads where they go,
Be careful.
yeah, take these. This is like fucking removes
You may
earwax.
come down with,
Yeah,
whatever.
you may come down
Yeah.
with like just fucking hearing Gary Neville in your head. He's a fucking side effect. And you know what else? Actually, do you know what? And, I'll say this in the chat because people might remember. I seen a clip the other day, of Arsenal against Aston Villa, from going back to the Highbury days. And does anybody else remember? And I know this is a thing, so I'm fucking saying it, right? Because everyone goes, "You're mad. You just make this stuff up." Does anybody ever remember the thing that at Highbury when another team would take a shot and score, there was a woman that would be sat quite close to the microphones around the pitch, and every time a goal went in against Arsenal, you'd hear her going, "Ah!" every time they scored. Does anybody else remember that? Let me know. Answers on a postcard, because I did see a clip the other day, and when I seen it was Lee Hendry scoring for Villa against Arsenal in a game where Arsenal win and they go 49 games unbeaten or something like that. But he scores early, at one of the ends, the clock end or the fucking whatever end it was called. And as the goal goes in, you see the goal going in, but you hear this woman, and I'm going, she was always there. She fucking done the exact same thing every time Arsenal conceded the goal. So if anyone can remember that, let me know. But yeah, there you go.
I do appreciate when there's like one person whose voice just like cuts through like a knife through butter. There's
This was
always one.
just her going, just screaming when another team scored. You know what I mean?
I don't remember that.
So there you go. Some people might remember, some people won't. But there you go.
Well, that's a tangent for me to kind of look into. I'll see if I can find any footage of that. Kev, do you have any final thoughts before we kind of close out for the night? I know that Gav has a bunch of stuff to do.
Yeah, Gav's a busy boy, so no.
So
No, nothing. I'm just glad I can sit back and relax and watch games tomorrow. Looking for, at least we'll go into Sunday knowing where we are. We'll know what if we're going to be. We'll see what Arsenal have done. We'll know what we have to do to match it. You just hope for a performance. If you get a performance, man for man, we're much better than what Manchester United have, and we'll win it handy enough. So, probably I'll be slapped around for that after, because these games rarely like that anyway. So no, I just hope that we just play to how we're capable of playing, get a win, enjoy the rest of the weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely Gav. It's been a while since we've actually known what our opponents have done. I feel like almost the entirety of last year we had to play early, and then Arsenal played after us. And I don't know, Klopp kind of made that a thing where we were sort of the underdogs and we had to fight back for points and stuff. So it's definitely something different. Because I can't remember the last time that we've had a late game like this, especially coming after an international break. Usually it's always that early game.
Yeah,
This
it's
is a
usually
bit of an oddball.
yeah, because we've had an early game. Did we have the early one in Everton, and then um, we had a 3 o'clock game. Then we've had a couple of 3 o'clock games, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, but on
so
Saturdays, not on Sundays.
yeah, but that's what I mean. It feels like when I say like we've gone early, we're playing Saturday before 5 p.m. really, and we've done that quite a bit, which is unusual. You know, you expect Liverpool to be playing in the evening Saturday or the 2 o'clock Sunday or the 4 o'clock Sunday, but we've had quite a bit of Saturdays and quite a bit of early. So yeah, 4:30 on a Sunday. Get your dinner ready, sit down, and away we go.
Yeah, hopefully no post international break malaise or anything like that. But I think that's it from us. I think we should say proactively happy birthday to Osin or Oshin. Say it again. Oshin. Okay,
Oshin.
thank you.
Oshin.
We're gonna.
What is it? His birthday?
Oshin. Well, it's his birthday
No,
on
it's
Sunday,
just
so we're
Oshin.
hoping that Oshin.
No, not Oshin.
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 Okay.
Go on, try
just gonna
again.
take
Try
your
again.
word.
Come on, we can do this.
Okay,
Oshin.
give me it one more time.
Oshin.
Oshin.
Yeah, that's all.
That's it.
It's just Osh.
It's close enough. That's as close as you're gonna get.
Imagine it's spelled Usheen. Oshin.
Okay. We'll work on it. I was just trying to be nice and say happy
Well,
birthday.
you're doing better
now,
than Matt, because Matt, when
you know.
Matt says it, he just goes, "Oh, the fella, I don't know his name. I can't say his name."
Well, he says little D or McGlinchey, and
Yeah.
and that works. Anyways, happy birthday. Hopefully the Reds turn up for you on
That's me
Sunday.
bollocks, Oshin, your
and
birthday. No one cares.
You're just smushing. You're
only messing.
smushing my niceness here. It's
Sorry.
fine. Whatever. On that note, we're gonna call it a night. We will be back tomorrow for the final 20. So catch Gav and I guess Kev. I don't know if you're gonna be there.
Probably, yeah.
And Matt will be there as well.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be the final 20 minutes of those 3 o'clock games, and hopefully stuff will actually happen because sometimes nothing
There's
happens.
loads of them.
But that's
We
over on our Patreon.
But when it's on Patreon, we just have a lovely time. We just talk about what
Yeah,
we
it's
want.
fun anyways.
Well, the match is on.
It's fun anyways, and we just chit chat and talk shit, and everything's great. It's a nice way to spend a Saturday morning. So if you're not in our Patreon, just check that out in the link below. There's also a link into NordVPN, and I'm just gonna say I'm gonna use NordVPN tomorrow and this weekend to watch these games. So I'm going to let you know how it goes, and then I will give you an honest ad read when I'm finished. So hopefully I won't have any issues watching that United game, and hopefully we smash them to bits. So that's us for the evening. Thank you everyone in the chat, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye everyone.